Yeah, let me warmly welcome you, Professor Anand Chakravarti, for this conversation, uh, which Indian Sociological Society is actually conducting a series of talks, which will be uploaded in the site for younger scholars and the future kind of generations and readers who will immensely benefit from your long experience as a sociologist. So first, let me welcome you. And it's my, as I said, it's my privilege to actually have a conversation with you. I also thank uh, Indian Sociological Society President, Professor Maitreyi Chaudhary, who actually requested me to conduct this conversation with you. I thank her for both asking me to have a conversation and also for initiating this series of talks, which will be immensely beneficial. Um, just to introduce to the readers, Professor Anand Chakravarti is a luminary, inspiring teacher, researcher. I think he has actually started his career way back in 1965, much before even some of us have been born. So I think in the early 60s, where there was actually disciplinary contours which were beginning with village studies and village monographs that defined the discipline. And that's when Professor Anand Chakravarti also began his career, both in terms of, starting at D school, at Delhi school, and also in terms of his village studies research, which defined his own kind of, domain, both in terms of agrarian studies, class-caste relations, contradictions in society, social change, and so on and so forth. To just briefly introduce Professor Anand Chakravarti to the readers, he actually began as assistant lecturer in sociology at Delhi College in 1965. He worked till about 1968 in this Delhi College. Then he moved to Department of Sociology, Delhi University, D School in 1968, and worked as at that point is called lecturer, and then he moved on to work as reader. And of course, he was actually professor in the Department of Sociology, Delhi University, till about 2006. Okay, so a long career that he actually had in D school, and his important books, particularly all three books, actually have been very, very influential in terms of sociological kind of research and insights. To begin with, I think he wrote Contradictions and Change, Emerging Patterns of Authority in a Rajasthan Village, which is published by Oxford University Press in 1975. Then he actually moved on to the second book, actually, Social Power and Everyday Class Relations, Agrarian Transformation in North Bihar, which was brought out by Sage Publishers in 2001. And recently, I think, taking into account the contemporary kind of developments, he wrote this very interesting, fascinating book, Is This Azadi? Everyday Lives of Dalit Agricultural Laborers in a Bihar Village, which was brought out by Tulika in 2018. Apart from these three books that he has actually published, of course, based on his intensive fieldwork in both in Bihar and Rajasthan, he also has number of publications in various journals, both national and international journals. He was also chair, SK Day chair in Local Government Institute of social sciences from 2013 to 2015. And he was awarded UGC National Award, Swami Pravananda Saraswati National Award in Sociology in the year 2004. So thank you so much, Professor Anand Chakravarti, for agreeing to actually share your thoughts and actually tell us about your long journey. Let me just actually turn it now. So let me first welcome.
Thank you very much for your very generous introduction.
Yeah. Let me just start with probably your early kind of disciplinary kind of beginning, because that's very inspiring for all the younger generations. So I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to pursue sociology in the 60s? How was this discipline perceived during your student days? Was it actually academically treated as something that was very, very mainstream, or how was this discipline itself perceived?
Not as positive as would appear from your statement. Actually, sociology came my way by default.
Okay.
Because I had fared dismally as an undergraduate student in economics. In fact, I got a low third class. And, I was naturally in total gloom. My parents were disappointed. And from my point of view, the way ahead seemed to be absolutely closed. But then, fortunately, my father, who was at that time in the Ministry of Community Development, he knew that M.N. Srinivas had started a department of sociology in Delhi University.
I see.
He knew that because the Ministry of Community Development used to conduct courses in which they would invite academics. And if I remember correctly, S.C. Dubey was even part of the National Institute of Community Development at Mussoorie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not surprising that my father knew of Srinivas. So he suggested to me that I could take a shot at applying for the Masters in Sociology. Fortunately, at that time, the eligibility conditions for entering a master's course were not as rigorous as they are today. If in today's times, I would never have been admitted to a master's course in any discipline. But at that time, even with a low third class, it was possible to make it. But I didn't have any idea about sociology, but I've always felt that there's been something amiss. I had felt even at that time that there was something amiss in the way India as an independent country was shaping. Perhaps the only economics I learned as an undergraduate student is that we continue to be a poor country, continue to depend on foreign sources for food. So in that kind of spirit, when I was asked at the interview, why do you wish to take sociology? I gave a answer which was absolutely unacceptable, really. I said that I wish to use sociology as an instrument of change. That I want. India is a poor country, and I think I'd like to do something about it. It's only much later that I realized that sociology is not about providing some kind of prescription for change.
Yeah.
Sociology can provide an understanding of social relations, but it's by no means a formula for social change. But in
Right.
spite of that rather foolish answer, I was admitted, thankfully. So that's how I entered the master's program in sociology, just by luck, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But your generation of must have actually come, most of them accidentally, not by choice. So, how was your class composition at that point? And
See, in, we were the second batch.
yeah,
The first batch was admitted in 59. At that time, there were, I think, only 6 or 7 students who had been admitted.
all right.
I'm not too sure whether they had any, deliberate intention to join this course, but
Yeah,
certainly in my batch,
yeah.
I think many of us were there by default. We were
Okay.
only 12.
Yeah.
Um, um, B.S. Baviskar, the late B.S. Baviskar, who was my colleague for many years,
Okay.
he had done a master's in economics.
All right.
And uh, I don't remember his grade, but he had not done too well.
Hmm.
So he was one of the, I would say, perhaps for him also, sociology was taken by default. That's my guess. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then there was another um, girl, Meera Nerula,
Hmm.
who had also done a master's in economics, and one wondered why she should be doing another master's. So I think that this is I'm sort of projecting my sense of default in joining the discipline to the others. I
Yeah.
don't think that any of us really had a clear picture of what we were into.
Okay.
uh, it's something that evolved as we progressed as students.
Yeah. So, economics was more a popular kind of a discipline by then, and
Yes, yes, definitely. And um, I mean, I think, I mean, I'm just speaking hypothetically.
yeah,
If I had done well in economics, I think I would have continued.
continue.
I
Yeah.
mean, sociology would never have been in the picture. So
Right.
that's why I say it's
Yeah.
something that came my way by default.
All
But I
right.
don't regret that default.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in your masters, who are
Yeah.
your teachers, and what
Um,
kind of academic environment and teaching then?
uh, in the first year, um, fortunately, M.N. Srinivas was one of the teachers. He taught us a course on it was called general sociology.
All right.
There were 3 other teachers. There was M.S.A. Rao, the late M.S.A. Rao. He taught us sociology of India.
Okay.
Andre Betey was also a teacher.
Okay.
And there were A.M. Shah was there, but he taught us in the second year. But
Oh,
some of these luminaries were among my teachers.
yeah.
Um, and what is uh, what I can recall about Srinivas's teaching, I mean, he
Yeah.
was not a very good. He was not very good uh, in his articulation. He's not one of those eloquent teachers.
Yeah.
Some of the things that he said
Yeah.
remained in my mind for a long time.
Mm.
Two things that I can
Yeah.
recall for you.
Yes.
One is that he was extremely critical of writing in sociology, which was incomprehensible.
Mm.
And he would often mention Talcott Parsons.
Yeah.
And, when he mentioned Talcott Parsons, soon after, one went to the library, and I don't think I was able to get beyond a line or two of Talcott Parsons' writing.
All right.
So that was one. That is, he was very emphatic that writing should be very clear, and he would often, not once, but often refer to his own teacher at Oxford, Radcliffe Brown,
Yeah.
who, according to Srinivas, handled words like precious stones.
Okay.
And I think that
Yeah.
influenced Srinivas himself, because I used to talk to his research assistant from time to time. And
Yeah.
one of the things the assistant told me is that Srinivas himself would write 6 or 7 or 8 drafts
Okay.
before he actually was satisfied that the piece was ready for publication.
Okay.
So, two things which one is this attack against obscure writing.
Yeah. Lucid way of
Yeah.
presenting
And
things.
then he also was uh, um, emphatic that the nature of theory
Yeah.
in the social sciences is very different from the nature of theory in the natural sciences, and one should not try to imitate
Okay.
the natural science pattern. And to demonstrate that, I'll give you
Yeah.
an
That would be
example that
interesting.
remains in my mind. He would
Yeah.
refer to George Hohmann's Human Group.
Okay. Yeah.
You probably are
Yeah.
aware of that.
Yeah. Yes.
And one of the propositions that Srinivas would make fun of, I don't remember all Hohmann's propositions, but one of the propositions that I do remember,
Yeah.
which he would ridicule, and you will understand why.
Yeah.
Uh, the leader will lead.
Mm.
See, in the human group, the leader will lead.
Yeah.
How is that a scientific proposition?
Position.
So, so basically, the thrust of what he was saying is that the reasoning in the social sciences has to
Yeah.
follow a different kind of trajectory.
Right.
We are not aiming at the arriving at laws.
Right.
Humans thought that the leader will lead as a law,
Yeah.
which is
Which is
absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
right. Right. So that was the time also, I think a lot of distinction between natural science, social science, and, trying to
yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah,
psychology, sociology,
yeah.
and the
Mm,
distinctions
mm, mm,
also
mm,
being taught,
mm.
kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
I also wanted to ask, maybe after your master's,
Yeah.
so did you actually think of pursuing PhD, or how does that transition, how did that happen?
Yeah. Now, again, given my, um, uh, the answer that I gave
Yeah,
at the MA interview,
yeah,
the ridiculous answer which I gave, that continued to obsess me. That
yeah,
I have to do something to contribute to the change of the dismal conditions around us.
yeah,
So after my masters,
yeah.
I actually joined Jayaprakash Narayan's Sarvodaya movement,
Okay.
and
That,
I was for 2 or 3 months with one of his prominent workers, Tirpurari ji.
yeah,
And, I used to accompany him on their visits to villages. But some disillusionment set in, because the assumption was that through the message of Bhudan Gramdan,
yeah.
um, there would be a transformation in the hearts and minds of the
Landlords.
landlords. I, um, I mean, I had serious doubts about that,
Yeah.
but before one could, uh, you pursue that with the leadership, with Jeffrey, I fell ill with jaundice.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that created a break. In fact, it created a permanent break with the Sarvodaya movement.
Okay.
But the working with the Gandhians generally,
Yeah.
because the Sarvodaya and Gandhian um,
Perspective.
ideas is not contradictory; they're
Yeah.
complementary. So,
Yeah.
so I after I recovered from jaundice,
Yeah.
I joined the Gandhian Institute of Studies, which was basically an organization run by JP.
Okay.
And but then I was going nowhere
Yeah.
over there also.
You're right.
And that's where my father intervened and said that
Mm.
why don't you try getting back to the mainstream?
Right.
And at that moment, since I was uh, in a state of limbo,
Yeah.
not having made any progress whatsoever at the Gandhian Institute,
Yeah.
I returned to Delhi and met Professor Srinivas and said that I'd like to come back to the department. So that's how I uh, uh, came back to sociology. This would be 19, 1963. Yeah, 1963.
Okay. Okay. So, when you came back,
Yeah.
actually, what was the research kind of a question or theme that you proposed, and who was your supervisor, and how did that kind of a
See, while I was at the Gandhian Institute,
yeah,
uh, uh, since it was intended to be a research organization,
right,
uh, there were a number of research topics that were laid out.
right,
And one of the research topics that I um, 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 sort of considered even while I was there,
mm,
though it didn't take off, was precisely on the lines of the changing pattern of power and authority in village
right,
communities.
okay,
So that persisted. So I mentioned to Srinivas that roughly this is what I'd like to do.
yeah,
And since um, uh, Hindi is the only sort of local language I would be able to manage, it had
mm,
to be in a Hindi speaking area.
right,
But why Rajasthan? If you want to know, I can.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
right. So why Rajasthan, and
yeah,
also
yeah.
what was your kind of a field experiences at that point in time when you visited these villages and communities and their kind of developmental kind of frame that Nehruvian model influenced at that point. So
So Rajasthan again was accidental.
mm,
My father was in the Ministry of Community Development, and at that time, a meeting of the All India Panchayat Parishad was held at Udaipur, at which he was to go in an official capacity. So I went along with him,
yeah,
and since at that time I was at the beginning or at looking around for possible sites for research.
right,
Um, uh, then my father introduced me to the development commissioner of who was based in Jaipur, who in turn introduced me to the district development officer of Jaipur district, who
mm,
in turn, I recall this, the
yeah,
district development officer organized a meeting of some 12 or 13 BDOs
oh, okay,
in the development commissioner's house, and
oh,
each one saying कि हमारे यहाँ आइए, हमारे यहाँ आइए, you know. So No, well, because I was a guest of Mr. Ram Singh,
Yeah,
the big shot. So
yeah,
naturally, some importance was assigned to me also.
right.
So that's how. So then, arbitrarily, not quite arbitrarily, Jaipur district was settled
Mm,
because the district development officer was located there.
right,
And he arranged for the BDOs to meet me. These are
yeah,
all BDOs of the district.
right,
So at random, I chose uh, two or three blocks to visit, and
right.
in each, looking at the census, I identified relatively small village communities, having a population of around 1,500.
Yeah,
So I visited, I think, 5 blocks, and in each block, um, I visited 3 villages
right,
at random, purely based on the demography.
right.
Now, it so happened that in the very first village that I visited in Jaipur district,
Yeah,
in the Govindgarh block,
yeah,
uh, I was received with the kind of hospitality that I have never experienced in my whole life.
right.
Uh, and the sarpanch saying, "Ki you must come. This should be the site of your field work." I
Right.
naturally had to explain what it was,
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was there about.
Yeah.
So although subsequently I went to 14 or 15 other villages,
Right.
what drew me to the village that I've called Devisar was the
Yeah.
warmth with which I was received. Uh,
Right.
so it was purely the selection of Devisar was
Yeah.
purely emotional.
Okay. Okay.
The intellectual element came much later.
All right. So, who was your supervisor, mentor?
My supervisor was M.N. Srinivas, fortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you tell us about the mentoring process? Because I think it's a
Yeah.
long legacy that sociology must have inherited from
Yeah,
Srinivas's kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
mentorship.
Well, as far as my experience is concerned, I don't think that there was too much interference
Yeah.
or even mentoring for that matter. Uh,
Okay.
he's, I remember he's saying, okay, you find a field, go to the field. That's
Mm.
it. What to do in the field or how to go about the field work.
Mm.
These are not things that were said to me. He left it open to me. So
Okay.
how I evolved as a research student
Yeah.
of Srinivas,
Yeah.
um, I think had to do more with the logic of my own experiences in the field,
All
rather
right.
than any conscious mentoring that happened from.
Okay. So, field defined your research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was the kind of essence content I think at that point in time. So did you also have some kind of differences or arguments with Srinivas in terms of what you actually were trying to formulate or his own kind of notions of functionalist or structural functionalist perspectives during your doctoral work?
No, there was no conflict or disagreement on the way the logic of my investigation proceeded and his own thinking.
Yeah,
I do know, since you mentioned functionalism, I
yeah,
do know that without it necessarily being explicitly told to us as students,
yeah,
there was an atmosphere of structural functionalism in the department
right.
at my time.
Yeah,
And uh, I think that kind of thinking was at the back of certainly my mind.
Right.
Though it didn't uh, affect my actual engagement with social reality, but it was very much there. But
Right.
I should mention here that
Yeah.
um, I think one's own psychology, one's own makeup as a
Yeah.
human being
Yeah.
does have a bearing, at least in my case, does have a bearing with the way in which one looks at the world.
Right.
So, in my home, for example,
Yeah.
I used to feel offended, even angry at the
Hmm.
way the servants were treated. See,
Right.
my father was a bureaucrat. There was a
Yeah.
typical, and he was a bureaucrat of the ICS cadre.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a certain, status that was to be maintained, and unfortunately, that status meant that, uh, at least in my thinking, the servants were not treated the way they should be treated, with dignity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I used to feel. I mean, I didn't like it. I felt offended by it,
Right.
and that's why I think because of this kind of what should I say, natural um, inclination,
Yeah.
I have always had a sympathy for,
So
let's say, uh, the weak, the downtrodden, the oppressed,
working
the
class.
humiliated,
Hmm.
and uh, and this had a bearing on the kind of stance that I took in the village,
Right.
uh, and which completely, I think, overturned the functionalist background that I may have inherited subconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just, in brief, tell you the.
Yeah. Yeah. That will be very valuable. Yes.
See, this village, in the typical uh, sociological sense, was divided into factions.
Right.
I don't call them factions, but anyway, let's, for the sake of argument, call them factions.
Right.
One faction was dominated by the leader of the dominant caste, the Rajput caste.
Yeah.
The other faction was led by also a Rajput,
Hmm.
but who, from the point of view of the traditional Rajputs, would be treated as a renegade, a traitor.
Yeah. Traitor.
Okay. Because this traitor, so-called traitor,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, somehow subscribed to the new legal order, the new rational legal order. So
Okay.
when Panchayati Raj was introduced in Rajasthan,
Right.
and he happened to get elected as the Sarpanch in 1960.
Right.
That's 4 years before I came to the village.
Yeah.
He tried to run the panchayat according to the rule of law, according to the Rajasthan Panchayat Act.
Right.
Okay. Now, there is a very specific instance which will demonstrate the difference.
Right.
See, among the areas of concern for the panchayat was the demarcation of house sites,
Hmm.
okay, and then the administration of the common land of the village.
Okay.
Now, the common land of the village will include the samsan, shamsan, and the pasture land. But that's the land that I'm going to talk about, the pasture land. Now,
Yeah.
the Rajput leader, whom I've called Sher Singh,
Yeah.
he had no qualms about the new legal order. What is the correct boundary, and what is an encroachment.
Yeah.
So he had encroached on the pasture land,
Right.
and Bhim Singh, the other side, the
Yeah.
Sarpanch,
Yeah.
he wanted very much to um, um, see that the land was demarcated so that encroachments could be detected and prevented.
Right.
So I, um, not consciously, but I think more or less, I would say, going by the natural flow of my nature,
Yeah.
aligned with Bhim Singh.
Right.
So that was the end of, you know, ethical neutrality. That was
Yeah.
the end of functionalism.
Yeah.
That was the inauguration of a more conflict-oriented mode of thinking.
Thinking. Okay. So the field actually,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
was
Mm, mm,
important.
mm, mm.
Um, so at that point, when you are investigating this power and authority and
Yeah,
all,
yeah, 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 yeah.
okay. So was that also something that you have been actually influenced by Weberian kind of a framework, or is that something that you have been more influenced in terms of some other theoretical paradigms? How was that going on in terms of theory outside in the classroom and in the department, and when you are moving into the field, how was that kind of
Yeah,
engaged?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Weberian framework, the Weber's
Mm.
typology of authority,
Yeah.
charismatic, legal, traditional,
Mhm.
which was very much at the core, I would say, of my analysis of the material. And
Okay.
uh, something that I mean, I had might, well, maybe I should say it right now.
Yeah.
The uh, conflict over the pasture land,
Yeah.
see, it was really an explosive confrontation because Bhim Singh successfully managed to, and I would say I also played a role there,
Yeah.
got the revenue administration to actually come to the site
Right.
and undertake measurement of the land. See,
Okay.
unless you measure the land, you cannot demarcate. Okay.
Right. Right.
So large numbers of villagers had collected there. Members of the panchayat had collected there. I was there. Um, Now, the moment the tehsildar, the revenue official,
Yeah.
began to uh, start the process of measurement, using their chains or whatever it is, Bhim Singh decided to be with him. He wanted to ensure that everything was being done properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as soon as Bhim Singh set foot on the pasture land,
Yeah.
uh, the response from the other side was that I'll break your head if you go even one step further. This
Okay.
has happened. And to cut a long story short, the
Yeah.
operation was suspended.
Oh.
So, what I learned from that is that you might be functioning in a legal order. I mean, after
Right.
all, we were not in the Rajput phase. We
Yeah.
were in post-independence India.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were, in principle, bound by the rule of law.
Yeah.
What the Sarpanch was doing was in accordance with the rule of law, in accordance with the Rajasthan Panchayat Act, in
Right.
accordance with the jurisdiction that was given to the panchayats.
Right.
But in relation to the power of tradition,
Yeah.
perhaps the rule of law can often have to be taken a back seat.
Okay.
uh,
So these things had to be
hmm,
learned
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
hard way from the
Yeah,
field.
yeah, 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 exactly. Hmm.
And okay. Uh, so when you are actually trying to present some of these conflict and power, authority, and other
Hmm,
kind
hmm,
of
hmm.
perspectives, So, what was the kind of academic engagement and environment in the school at that point? So, was that something? How do you see your work?
Yeah, actually, I now remember one of the seminars at which um, I was presenting something to this effect about the
Yeah,
conflict between tradition and the rule of law or the
yeah,
legal authority. And uh, there were some questions. I don't recall the questions, but maybe I was not quite coping with the questions.
yeah,
Uh, and then this is something I definitely remember. Srinivas intervened
yeah,
and he said that when members of the dominant caste wield lathis,
yeah,
that's the word he used. He used the word lathi.
yeah,
Then it creates a totally different, you know, uh, setting, uh,
yeah,
and all else has to surrender before the exhibition of brute power.
right.
So he, in spite of his uh, quote unquote religion in structural functionalism,
Yeah,
he was very much in sympathy with the kind of work that I was doing.
yeah, yeah. So, so these village
Yeah.
monographs which were defining sociology, anthropology at that point. Okay. I think somewhere they have actually lost or they have not been pursued with the same rigor in the next decades. I think, say by 80s.
Huh.
I think the tradition. How do you see and why do you think that rupture actually happened within the sociology and anthropology?
I'm not sure about the use of the term rupture,
Yeah,
but again, speaking from my own experience,
yeah,
when I did the Devisar study, I was consciously, in my mind, doing a village study.
right.
But subsequently, when I investigated the Rupaspur Chandwa carnage,
Yeah,
or later when I went to Aghan Bihar to study class relations,
yeah,
finally when I went to Dev Markande,
yeah.
Mukti Di, the fictitious name,
Mm,
study the poverty of laborers,
yeah.
I don't think that the village was the frame of my analysis.
Okay.
Uh, it's not that I consciously did it,
Yeah,
but the bottom line is that it's not the village as such that matters, but
yeah,
what is the problem that you are investigating and what are the logical consequences of that investigation.
yeah,
So I think though I was located in Rupaspur, Chandwa, or I was located in Aganbiga, or I was located in Muktidi,
yeah.
I don't think that that location was that important. What was
Mm,
more important was uh, why did this massacre happen,
right,
or what is the nature of class relations in rural India,
right.
or or what is the extent to which the so-called progress that our leadership talks about in how does it translate into ground reality.
Yeah,
So the problems took precedence rather than the bounded nature of the village. That's as far as my concern is. But as far as the rest,
yeah,
Srinivas himself was not an addict as far as village studies are concerned. You know,
mm,
um, his own student Ramaswamy,
yeah,
batchmate of mine, he studied trade unions.
right, right.
Bhaviskar, who was supervised by MSA Rao, he studied cooperatives.
Right.
In fact, in his introduction to the collection of essays on fieldwork,
Yeah.
he said that the field is open to
Yeah.
whatever the investigator chooses to. It could be a hospital, it could be a prison,
Yeah.
it could be a court, it could
Yeah.
be a factory,
Mm.
it could be a school or a college, whatever. So
Yeah.
I think that uh, if anyone wishes to do a village study today,
Yeah.
that person is welcome, but it's entirely up to that person's interest.
Right.
But I would not do a village study. I think given the challenges in the society around us, our fault lines, I would
Yeah.
rather focus on the fault lines rather than doing just a community study.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, what is very distinctive in your long sociological kind of a research, writing and reflection is, I think, bringing class and caste actually as a frame,
Yeah,
which is something that, today, is much more intellectually people are trying to
yeah,
engage.
yeah,
So, can you
yeah,
share how that frame
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah,
emerged and what
yeah,
are your insights?
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. See, having completed my monograph on Devi Sir,
Yeah.
it was 1975. I was ready for another round of research.
Right.
And that was the time when I was uh, influenced by my colleague, senior colleague Andre Bete's essay on ideas and interests, some
Right.
conceptual problems in the study of social sociology or whatever.
Mm.
Um, and the principal argument of the essay was that uh, there has been too much obsession with caste.
Right.
Monographs on caste and kinship, caste and religion, or caste and ritual,
Right.
caste and the economy.
Mm.
You know, um, so that it's about time that the investigation shifted from the
Right.
shadow of caste,
Okay.
and I was influenced by that.
Mm.
So when I began my fieldwork in Aganbiga,
Yeah.
well, Champavati is the actual name. Anyway,
Mm.
I was looking for class,
Right.
and my model
Yeah.
uh, for looking for class were the writings of three well-known economists:
Yeah.
Daniel Thorner,
Yeah.
Utsa Patnaik, and
Okay.
Ashok Rudra. Of course, others I've also written on class, but these were
Right.
the three I had
Yeah.
in mind. Now, for analytical purposes,
Yeah.
let us focus on how these three identified the dominant class.
Right.
Now, for Thorner, it was the
Yeah.
Malik,
Malik. Yeah.
the big landowner who does not work, hires laborers, or leases out land to tenants.
Yeah.
For Utsa Patnaik, it was the landlord, again, somebody who does not work,
Yeah.
typically does not work. And for Ashok Rudra, the big landowner,
Mm.
he actually referred to the two classes as big landowners and laborers.
Laborers. Yeah.
So again, the big landowner is typically somebody who needs the labor of others too.
Right.
So, so in other words, big land ownership was
Yeah.
the model in my mind for
Uh-huh.
identifying class.
Right.
Hmm. Okay. Now the problem is that over a period of one's fieldwork,
Yeah.
uh, as one was interacting with all strata,
Right.
and particularly uh, with the working class, the
Mm. Mm.
agricultural laborers,
Yeah.
I found that irrespective of the size of the holding,
Yeah.
all Bhumihars,
Right.
who were the dominant caste there, were regarded as oppressive.
Yeah.
चाहे बड़ा मालिक हो या छोटा मालिक हो, they were from the laborers used the term malik for the
Yeah.
employer,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
तो चाहे छोटा मालिक हो या बड़ा मालिक हो, सब सब हमको चूसते हैं, उनको पेट का भूख है,
Yeah.
हमको पेट का भूख है, उनको काम का भूख है.
Right.
So obviously then there was some issue, some problem with
Yeah.
treating the dominant class in terms of large landholding.
Right.
And so this is where the caste factor naturally came into the picture.
Right.
The dominant class, those who set the terms, as it were, of work, those who, let's say, are at the apex of the culture of exploitation,
Yeah.
they are not necessarily big.
Right.
They are also small. But what is common to the big and the small is that they are all of the same caste,
Right.
or the same Bhumihar caste. So that is why in my monograph on Aganbiga, the Malik is someone whose landholding cuts across from above 75 to the lower limit of less than perhaps 5 acres.
Yeah.
So that is how I identified the connection between caste and class. But and something which I thought about, which is in a lighter vein, I thought that if Thoner or Patnaik or Rudra had read Durkheim, Rules of Sociological Method, that social facts don't exist by themselves. Right. Social facts exist in connection with other social facts. So land ownership is a social fact. Employment of laborers is a social fact. But land ownership is not a social fact that you can understand by itself.
Right.
It has to be linked with some other social facts. And so had they read Durkheim, maybe they would have preceded me by decades.
Yeah. Today in the rural India or agrarian India, you don't have that kind of a enemy class, which I think was very significant in 70s and 60s in terms of whatever. And the state also was a very, force that laborers had to reckon with. So if younger sociologists who want to engage with class and caste today, what would be your kind of, suppose you were to now begin the field work in terms of class and caste to understand the contemporary India? What is your kind of advice, and what's both that theoretically and methodologically?
See, I would look at the contradiction between labor and capital in contemporary India, whether it is in the rural setting or in the urban setting, as one of the fault lines.
Right.
There are other fault lines. There's caste, there's community, what it means, what does it mean to be a Muslim in India today?
Yes.
What does it mean to be an Adivasi in the mineral belt in central India?
Yeah.
Or what does it mean to be a citizen in the Northeast or in Kashmir? So there are a number of fault lines. And I personally, because of my own, nature, have felt that there is a need to explore these fault lines. And that is why to explore the contradiction between labor and capital, the owners of land and laborers who continue to work in the rural setting,
Right.
I think would be relevant. Or the counterparts of these laborers who work in outside the village, those who migrate to Delhi, Surat, Bangalore,
Yeah.
and so on. Um, um, that's another fault line, because I remember one of my informants in Muktidi telling me
Yeah.
who had visited uh, um, his caste fellows in Panipat,
Right.
who were working in some factory there. And he said, "वो नरक की जिंदगी है,
Oh,
की जिंदगी है." That is, he said that even our cattle are better off than the way these laborers are treated.
okay.
So, if a young student is
Yeah.
inclined to study the contradiction between labor and capital, which is very much a contradiction, and he
Yes.
wishes to do it in a rural setting,
Yes.
I would be very happy. I mean, that he does that
Right.
if he wishes to. But
Yeah.
I would not. Uh, I mean, any research, I suppose, is something that grows out of one's own, impulses, and
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
it's, so. But if one is inclined to devote oneself to a rural setting,
Yeah.
I would suggest that he or she might consider
Mm.
what are the conditions of
Yeah.
landless laborers today.
Yeah. So, like the way landlord class and landlord kind of a characterization has gone through change, even in
Mm.
terms of class, labor, working class, informal labor. So earlier there used to be very familiar underclass. So there was
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
yeah. So they have also undergone a lot of change today. How would you see? Why do you think that this kind of a theoretical kind of concepts, of course, lose some essence and then new kind of categories come in?
Mhm.
Okay. So how would you look at some of these categories called underclass, for example?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
For me, the underclass is just a descriptive term
yeah,
uh, for describing those who are uh, deprived of productive resources.
right.
So it could be in any context: the urban underclass, the industrial underclass, rural
Yeah.
underclass. So it's
Mm,
just a descriptive term.
mm,
What is important is what's behind the term.
term.
That you do not have control over the means of production. And in this connection, I remember. I mean, this keeps coming up to my mind, coming to my mind. A
Yeah.
woman laborer in Agan, in Muktidi,
Yeah.
saying, uh, the English version is that we have no land, we are poor.
Okay.
That is, uh,
Yeah.
that is, we do not have the means to produce our own food, as we are
Yeah.
dependent on others.
Yeah. Mm,
And that dependence is then associated with being poor.
right.
So, if I was to use the term underclass for this lady,
Yeah.
I don't think I would be doing any injustice. I think I would be uh, um, using a term which has a certain meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the meaning is something I've lifted actually from her own mouth, as it were.
Right. Right. So, do you see the significance of Marxist political economy to study contemporary social realities today? Uh,
Yeah.
and do you think sociologists should actually explore that framework much more
Mm.
creatively?
Yeah. No, well, I think that as long as capitalism is a social fact,
Yeah.
uh, the
That's right.
exploitation of labor is an accompanying social fact.
Right.
And the the where
Yeah.
the manifestations of this exploitation in
Yeah.
different settings is something that could be uh, explored. For instance, by different settings, I mean, what does
Yeah.
it mean working for Ambani
Yeah.
or Adani? That's
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
what does it mean working for a small owner in a little factory in Panipat or in Sonipat or in
Yeah.
Ahmedabad or Delhi? Uh,
Yeah.
so, uh, so fundamentally, I think the Marxist um, conception of exploitation of labor
Yeah.
uh, would be, uh, I mean, very much relevant.
Right.
But what is the difference between one and the other? Uh,
Mm.
Working in a huge enterprise, working in a small enterprise. These are issues that can be explored, but it is broadly within, I think, the Marxist understanding of class exploitation in capitalism. I think
Yeah.
it would be, I think to my mind at least, it continues to have a relevance. And
Relevant.
not only that, because Marx um, didn't talk only about economic domination. That
Absolutely.
the economic domination, how it is related to political domination and ideological domination.
Yeah.
See the three. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it's a very fertile area of exploration.
Yes.
For me, at least, I would certainly not throw Marx overboard.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So the method, I think
Yeah,
Marxist method is quite relevant, but we'll have to see how imaginatively that need to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
applied to different contexts.
See, and one has to avoid. Exactly, as you said, one has to do it imaginatively, not mechanically. See,
Yeah.
one problem, if I may go back to the scheme of Utsa Patnaik, is that
Yeah.
there is a very mechanical uh, adoption, not even adaptation, adoption of the
Yeah.
Maoist scheme of agrarian differentiation. You see, that is not inspiring at all. Her paper may have been uh, considered a great paper, but I didn't think much of it. So,
Yeah. True. True. So, in terms of your fieldwork in Bihar and Rajasthan and agrarian conflicts that you are able to actually see, uh, so how do you actually, analyze? I mean, what do you actually think in terms of these two different kind of fields, and then the way conflict, power, authority, and others actually manifested? And is there any of your reflection
yeah,
that you?
my main reflection is that, as I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
uh, in Rajasthan, the intent was to do a village study.
Right.
Uh, and once I moved away from, or rather moved to the second and the third and the fourth,
Yeah.
I don't think, although in each case the location was a village, I
Yeah.
don't think that doing a village studies was in my consciousness. It was
Right.
much more the issues thrown up by the field.
Right.
In the Rupaspur case, it was an issue that had been thrown up, I mean, by the carnage that had taken place in 1971.
Yeah.
In the Aghan Bigha case, it was the issue thrown up by Andre Bete's paper that you should look for class, forget
Yeah.
about caste.
Right.
and and in the last case, the Muktidi case,
Yeah.
it was my conscience, as I mentioned in the beginning of the book. See,
Yeah.
in Aghan Bigha, I was studying class or class relations as categories.
Right.
But what about the human beings who constitute those classes? And so though one knew about the poverty of the landless laborers, even in Aganbiga,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have a flesh and blood picture of what it means to be a landless laborer. So
Right.
that was my intent when I went to um, Dev Markandi. That is,
Okay.
what does it mean to be? What is the quality of life that
Yeah.
is lived
Mm.
when you are without resources, without productive resources?
Yeah. Right. So, recent kind of debates are actually talking about going beyond the agrarian
Uh-huh.
and decoupling of rural and agrarian.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, how do you see these kind of discussions and conversations?
See, what one researches is entirely uh, on generated by the impulses from within.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just as you can't tell a poet what poetry to write or an artist to what he or she should paint.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if a scholar continues to or wishes to locate in the agrarian or in the rural, I mean,
yeah.
it's fine. I mean, I would not regard that as being outdated or
Hmm.
being, against the times or whatever. Because there's so much to study even within
Yeah.
the old settings.
Hmm.
But there are so many other settings. There are the fault lines. I mean, the arena is huge, but
Yeah.
it is for the scholar to decide what
Yeah.
she or he would like to engage with.
Right. No, the discussion is that agrarian actually limits the researchers to bring in social realities because
Sure.
there are many rural categories actually who may not be only associated with the agrarian.
Yeah, yeah.
Sociology, economics, and social science have largely undermined
Uh,
the
yeah.
beyond the agrarian. So that
Mm.
is where I was just saying, are
Mm.
there any reflections from your end in terms of your field reflection?
Definitely. For instance, uh, I mean, um, the last study,
Yeah,
uh, the, the study of the poverty of the landless laborers,
right,
is not would not fit into this notion of agrarian. I was
right.
really concerned with labor. And
Yeah,
if I was to extend that work, I would like to study these laborers in the conditions in which they are living in
yeah,
the urban settings, in the urban factories, wherever they are, which would, of course, require much harder field work because
right.
we would have to
Yeah,
locate them and live close to them. But then, um, uh, it's a matter of what interest the researcher has.
yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
some other researcher may still want to wish to study the remnants of the agrarian economy.
yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking in
Huh,
terms of
yeah,
your category of Dalit agricultural laborers actually
uh-huh,
captures the
yeah,
a lot of things which is both rural and
exactly. But
agrarian.
not necessarily agrarian.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
yeah.
Hmm, hmm,
And now they're also talking about agrarian urbanism because
hmm,
agrarian urbanism,
hmm,
meaning that today rural is in the urban and urban is in the rural, in the sense that
hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a lot of these boundaries actually are no more relevant.
Hmm,
While some of them are arguing that wither village and there is no village, and
hmm,
you
hmm,
know, so are there any of your reflections actually
hmm.
talk about? I mean, do you have
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
anything to talk about
No,
that?
I'm just reacting to what you're saying.
Yeah,
Rural urbanism makes sense because so many of these, as we know, the migrant laborers are
yeah,
from are from the rural areas.
Yeah, yeah,
And how they adapt to the urban milieu,
yeah,
um, what happens to them, what happens to their families, is a very fertile area for investigation. So um, it could be called, as you say, a phenomenon of rural urbanism.
yeah.
Um, what was the other?
Yeah, Wither village. Village.
Whether will yeah. See now, there at least from the Bihar experience,
Yeah,
the village is very much still a part of the social reality of even those who are moving out for work.
yeah,
See, one very outstanding, let's say, um, justification for this point is that uh, wherever they are working,
yeah,
they would like to return to the village for dhan katni, that is for the paddy or the rice harvesting in November, December.
yeah,
कि
yeah.
धान काटेंगे तो खाएंगे.
Oh,
That is, we will harvest paddy
yeah.
and then
And
we will be able to eat.
yeah,
So the village, to my mind, at least in the Bihar context that I am familiar with,
yeah,
certainly not lost its relevance. And by the way, if one mentions the experience of uh, workers after the lockdown, COVID lockdown,
yes, yes.
thousands and lakhs, where were they going? They were going back to their villages.
Villages, yes.
And even if they were going back to die, they would rather die there rather than in the,
Yeah.
the miserable settings, Narak Kiwali settings over here.
Yes, yes,
So I think I don't know about other parts of the country, but certainly in this the Bihar context, the
yeah,
village is very much alive.
very
And
much.
after all, going by the what economists tell us, 80 to 90% of Bihar is rural.
Yeah, right. Now, one other criticism against sociologists
Ah,
is
mm,
that we don't use as much historical kind of a trajectories in
mm.
trying to weave our kind of arguments into analysis.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think your generation of sociologists were also relying on archives and archival data and historical and other things. So do you want to explain the significance of archival and historical kind of trajectories for current sociological research?
See, my generation, see, the only ones that uh, I can think of, I mean, Dhanagre is, of course, a very prominent example,
Yeah,
but the use of the archive was, I think, conditioned by the nature of the work that he wished to do. He studied peasant movements
present moments. Yeah,
in India,
yeah,
and the archive would be the obvious major source
yeah,
of
yeah,
information.
yeah,
Um, Now, in my case, uh, the Rupaspur in carnage,
yeah.
uh, one found out that it's not just something that happened, not a flash in the pan, as it were, that there had been a history of tension between the Maliks and the sharecroppers, the Pataidars.
Yeah, yeah,
So that sort of laid out the ground for doing archival work.
mm,
One could have ignored the archive. One could
yeah,
have just said, we were told that there is a history of tension. But one's curiosity as a researcher
yeah,
uh, drove one to the Bihar State Archives. And I was lucky to find that there was a very large file, in fact,
right.
prepared by the district administration, the Purnia district administration,
Yeah,
on the agrarian tension in that area,
yeah,
going back to the early part of the 20th century. So where the field demands history, or where the field demands the archive, the researchers should follow that.
That's the thing. I think thank you so much for a lot of these reflections. I just want one last question.
No, you please go ahead. There's no.
Yeah, this is about looking back at your long career. What are your key reflections, sociology as a discipline in India?
Yeah.
How do you see the achievements, challenges, and future directions of sociology? Very.
Well, this is my personal take. Empathy has played a big role in one's research. If I may just, if you have the time, I can.
Please go ahead. It will be.
See, because I want to tell you about my accidental encounter with empathy, and then empathy actually consciously becoming a part of my mode of inquiry. The accidental encounter was with empathy was during my first field work in the Rajasthan village. Going around with the filling up the schedule, the household schedules. And I was accompanied by two senior Brahmin schoolboys. That is, they were in their 15, 16. They happened to be Brahmins. So we went to the Dalit Basti, the Raigad Basti. Now I'm very fond of milk. Continue to be fond of milk anyway. So as I told you at the beginning, I found the villagers in this first village that I visited, very, very hospitable. So the Raigars were very much true to that spirit of hospitality. So they were saying, "Ki, kya manuhar kare? What can we give you?" So then the minimal that they could offer was tea. But the tea was to be fetched from a shop outside the Ragar, somewhere else located in the village, run by a Brahmin owner. So said, "Chai leke aayenge." But I said, "No, why do you have to go all the way? There are, there were buffaloes around." I said, "Why not?" I told them that I'm very fond of milk. So यहीं हमको दूध दीजिए, हम पी लेंगे, खुशी से पी लेंगे. So there was a lot of backing and forthing because they were embarrassed. But finally, my will prevailed. So I began to have a glass of thick, sweetened buffalo's milk. But as I was drinking the milk, I noticed the expressions on my Brahmin those who were accompanying me, changing to a look of horror. कि रेगड़ के हाथ से दूध पिया है. And in a flash, the news spread all over the village that I had consumed milk from an untouchable. Now, that registered in me with devastation. In that moment I realized what it means to be a Dalit, what it means to be polluted, what it means to experience a lifetime of pollution as a Dalit. And that's an experience that I have never forgotten.
Absolutely.
But, it was an involuntary expression of empathy. That is, how does it feel to be a Dalit? Empathy is to feel the feelings and think the thoughts of your informants. Empathy. It just happened. What does it mean? I mean, I was feeling polluted. I had been polluted. But in that moment, I realized what it means to be a polluted person. So since after that, I have always practiced empathy.
Yeah.
In the subsequent rounds of fieldwork, may not be as intensely in um, Rajasthan,
Yeah.
but subsequently, definitely in Bihar,
Yeah.
empathy has played a very big role in the way I have conducted my fieldwork.
Yeah.
So, because of empathy, I feel that uh, sociology is, that's coming to your question,
Yeah.
sociology, in my understanding, is the
Yeah.
most human of social sciences.
Right.
Uh, the um, the way in which an economist, a historian, even a political scientist proceeds with her or his discipline
Yeah.
does not match what we do as sociologists, because you can't practice empathy in the archive,
Right.
or you can't practice empathy when you're dealing with statistical data.
Absolutely.
But you can practice empathy when you're dealing with human beings.
Right.
And therefore, in my understanding, sociology is at the apex of social sciences.
Okay.
And uh, since the
Yeah.
question of young students has come up from time to time,
Yeah.
if any student who's groping around, wondering, having passed school and is just entering university,
Yeah.
is groping around to decide what, and who has decided to take one of the social sciences.
Right.
Mm. And if that person were to come to me, I would any day recommend
Right.
sociology, precisely because it is the most human of the social sciences.
And yeah.
I mean, whether that person agrees or
Yeah.
takes some other discipline, well, that's up to that
No,
person.
no, but so persuasive, actually. So, but the way you put it, it is so persuasive. And I think, yeah, the claim of sociology, I think, still is very, very legitimate and valid, the way you have actually put it.
And my regret is that many of our colleagues,
Yeah.
they give up very soon. Uh, some do just one round of field work. Some don't even publish their thesis,
Right.
which is, I think, letting down the profession. I mean,
Right.
but uske baad bas, then they are, I mean, I'm putting it very bluntly, in a
Yeah.
state of hibernation. I mean,
Absolutely.
as long as you're active, I mean, healthy and active, I think practice empathy in a variety of fields.
Right. So yeah, yeah, I think you are able to say, what is the direction of sociology should actually take. Um, so are there any other reflections in terms of how do we also encounter, how do we overcome some of the challenges that discipline actually is going through today? Are there any sociology as a discipline?
Hmm.
Because I think, there are a number of challenges that sociology.
I'm frankly not quite aware of the challenges, but I remember uh, while I was at the Institute of Social Sciences,
Yeah,
um, uh, we had to. So one of the projects or one of the tasks was to do a book discussion around Baviskar and Atwood's Inside Outside.
yeah, yeah, inside, outside, yeah,
Now, at that session, A.M. Shah was the chair.
yeah,
And one of the things that he said is that um, he, he said that he regretted that fieldwork was dying out. Now, I don't know whether this is true. I'm not in the discipline actively, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
But this is what he said. But
yeah,
and it's a matter that touched my heart, because I am so wedded to fieldwork, and
yeah,
to hear an authoritative voice saying that he's sorry that fieldwork is no longer, in at the center stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it and elaborate, get a more detailed understanding of why he thought so.
Yeah.
But you would perhaps be able to, you and
True, true.
others.
Because a lot of students today
Uh, mm,
want to do something on urban or on science and technology or on
mm,
some
mm,
digital ethnography and
uh,
all. So
mm.
I think, that earlier kind of a tradition of, empathy in terms of the laboring kind of poor and, all of that, I think is also something that it requires much more reorientation given the kind of profile that we get, the student profile that we are able to get it.
I mean, since you can't have human society without people,
Yes.
whatever the sphere might be,
Yeah.
economy, polity, religion, kinship, whatever. So, as a discipline, I fail to understand how we can divorce ourselves from the study of interpersonal relations.
Absolutely.
Whatever might be the context. The
Yeah.
context is to be determined by the scholar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But why come closer to the style of the economist or the
Yeah.
political scientist or the historian
Yes.
when we have such a rich field, which is,
Yes.
I mean,
Which,
which is so
yeah,
uh, available for exploration.
absolutely. I completely share your kind of optimism, enthusiasm in terms of actually how sociology can be, a very, very discipline not only engages with the empathy, but also I think deeply can explain
Yeah, yeah,
intricacies of social organization, social relationships, and what actually human beings actually are
yeah, yeah.
moving towards. Yeah. So thank you so much for actually providing this, very in a nutshell. I think from the time of 1960s to the current kind of a stage, from fieldwork to conceptual kind of categories, how we need to develop, and how as a researcher actually is the driving force of any kind of investigation that one is trying to do. Thank you so much. I'm sure I think these are very useful kind of leads and insights that you provided. I really thank ISS and you for this conversation.
No,
I
it's a pleasure to speak to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much then. Yeah.
I hope there's nothing pending that you feel uh,
Yeah.
needs to be
And
asked, because I am free as far as you are concerned.
yeah. So I think also because we probably will have to do it an hour or so because it can't be
Acha.
beyond an hour.
Okay, okay.
And we
Right, right.
already have recorded, I think, more than an hour.
Acha.
Okay. So I
Okay.
just thought for the uploading, they might
Ah,
actually also have the.
acha, acha. There are some technical constraints. Okay.
So that's where I thought I will actually end the
All right.
conversation.
Sure.
But I'll be in touch with you.
Yes,
And
definitely.
maybe your ISS conference that MN Srinivas's talk, I think I'm looking forward to that. And once we upload it, of course, definitely I'll get back to you. And my own study actually on agrarian class and caste relations in United Andhra Pradesh that I
Mhm.
published in Economic and Political Weekly.
Okay. Mhm.
It's largely motivated by your piece on Bihar, in fact.
Acha.
So
Okay.
that was, something that I read and reread in terms of using it as a template to look at, because Telangana, I think, has a very different kind of a land ownership pattern
Okay.
where there was transition from Brahmins to agrarian kind of dominant caste to
Yeah.
OBCs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And whereas in coastal Andhra and other regions, it was still actually the transition from Brahmins to the landlord caste groups, Amma and Reddy, who still hold the land ownership. So I was trying to see the distinctions in different regions. And,
in fact, in the nature of the agrarian structure would vary depending upon whether the tenure was zamindari or rayatwari.
Yes.
So probably in your area, probably it was rayatwari during the colonial period. Perhaps.
Yes. So those were the things.
Yeah.
So thank you so much then. I look forward to your Srinivas's memorial lecture then.
And we can be in touch informally. I mean,
informally, definitely I'll be in touch with you. And I'll keep sharing whatever that I have, small dissemination that we are doing.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.